Okay. Hi, I'm Dr. Michelle Deering. Thing I'd love for you to know is that I'm going to be here, just leaving this space open for you to share your thoughts. Uh, Anything I can do to be of help, if I can be an avenue for you to uh, just have a time to get a respite during what I'm sure is a busy time for you. Let me know if there are topics or things that you'd like me to address. Um, since, I practice as a licensed psychologist in the state of North Carolina and New Jersey, even though I'm based right now in North Carolina. But if there's anything I can be of help to you with, by all means, I'm here to listen and lend you my support and or any answers or input that I can offer. If you so would like me to offer them to you, I'd be happy to do so. It's also I'd like it to be a time where you can actually get, just a free moment to yourself. I know that there are a lot of moms who are either working moms who are not working at their place of employment but are working at home, or there might be moms who work from home normally, but now you have your kids around like I do. Even though they're young adults, they're still in the house. But I'm here. Anything that I've learned about technology is from my BFF hubby, who's an IT consultant, and I've learned it by osmosis. And one of the key thing that I've learned from him is when technology decides to dump a crap on you and not work the way you expect it to, it is best to just pause and breathe. I can tell you that before I met him, had I had a computer at the time, I would have taken it and tossed it out the window. But over the 27, now going on 28 years of being married to him, I've learned to just pause and breathe and then just continue to click things in hopes that they will work. So one of the things I did want to share, and again, if you have comments or thoughts about how you're doing, with everything that's going on with COVID, readjusting to schedules, quarantine, anything like that. If you want to vent, please drop some comments in the comment thread, or if there's something that you are struggling with and would like some input on, I'd be happy to lend an ear as well as lend any kind of input that I can. But one of the things I was doing last night, I don't know if any of y'all watch This Is Us. Does anyone out there watch This Is Us? It comes on Tuesday nights, and things were so busy in our house that I didn't even get to watch it Tuesday night, so I watched it on a replay on Netflix. But I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday about This Is Us, and my kicker moment for last week's episode and this week's episode, for those of you, I don't want to do any spoilers for anyone who is not caught up with everything that's going on. But there is one moment with Randall and his therapist, and as I was watching it, I kept thinking, oh yes, Randall, she's gonna go there. And when she went there with her assessment of what was really at the heart of what was going on with him, I thought to myself, that's going to be really hard for him to hear. He did put his mom in a very awkward position. And I totally agree with you. And I think what occurred to me was how it is so hard for us to have those difficult conversations with our moms. And I remember, and I'm just, keeping it 100, when I saw the scene and I saw that he was not going to have the kind of conversation that his therapist was really honing in on that he needed to have. I literally pointed at the TV and I was like, that's why you really need help in talking with your mom. That's what I said. My husband, if he was here, he'd say, yes, my wife jumped out of her chair and said, that's it. So all that to say is that, yes, he already knew it. And she just wrapped it in. And the key thing is a lot of times when when we pause to consider what it is that's really going on inside of us, it's really important for us to really listen to that and take into account that there might be some things that will be difficult to face, but that really do need to be faced. Because when you don't face them, then what ends up happening is that you either overcompensate or you then, I call it, manipulate things to make your inner world more calm or calmer. And even though you might be calm, the ripple effect of your not dealing with what it really is, the ripple effect will have impacts and consequences for those around you that are unintended for the most part, but that you might just want to consider what the ramifications might be. So that's my psych head going on in terms of how I was watching the episode. We want to protect our moms because we love them, but and not to give away the season finale for those of you who haven't watched it, but there's a point at which, and I'm not going to say what happens, but there's a point at which an auxiliary or ancillary character in This Is Us makes a very poignant observation about the need for I'm just calling it the yin and the yang to exist within us, which means the positives and the negatives. That there's a point at which when we are able to hold the positive things that are going on, as well as the negative things that are going on, that's when we actually reach a point of wholeness, when we can sit with that. And so I would just encourage, those of you who say anything from, you had a rhythm at home before all this COVID stuff was going on, and now everything seems to be in chaos. If you can just pause to consider what positive things are going on with you, with those immediately around you, and find those nuggets, because it's those nuggets that are going to be able to counteract the things that are not nuggets, and that might be, for lack of a better metaphor, stones, pebbles in our shoe that might make it hard for us to walk the way we need to walk. What's been going on between Randall and Kevin has been building for years. As you might know, I have twin daughters who are very close. And one of the things that I've always, and my husband and I have always made not a big deal about, but we've always wanted them to what we've tried to get across to them is what I'm trying to say. What we've tried to get across to them is the importance of really talking through things. So we've tried to, albeit imperfectly, tried to model for them what it is to talk through issues. And so there was a point in time where, okay, and I'm outing my daughters a little bit, but there's a point in time where, in doing their chores, when they were young, like say elementary school age, we would make sure that each one did an equal amount. And just in terms of their own personalities, each child approached it differently. So much so that when they got to the point of middle school age and especially high school age, and those chores still needed to get done, each one approached it differently. And because one child wanted to at least make sure the chore overall got done and didn't want to hear from mom about it, that child would actually end up doing things for the other child. And when I started noticing that, I individually would pull them each aside at different points, not in each other's presence, but pull each of them aside and really talk with them through the ramifications of if you're picking up the slack here for your sister this much, you really need to know what place you're coming from in terms of why you're doing it. Because if you continue to do it, then you might end up resenting her later. And then with the other child, I would talk with her about, okay, so if you're not doing things in a timely fashion and you see your sister doing the part that you're supposed to do, how do you think that makes her feel? So I would have these conversations with them on and off at different points in time. And then it got to a point where when they were juniors or seniors in high school, I started seeing some of the, little not resentment, but for lack of a better word, resentment on the child who was doing whatever. And so I then really started switching my script to them about the importance of boundaries and that they needed to allow each other to be responsible for the parts that they were responsible for and let the chips fall as they may, because ultimately they're sisters and they need to be able to talk to each other about their feelings about it. And there were a couple of occasions where each of them, I had to facilitate each one expressing their real feelings to each other without divulging the individual conversations that they were having with me or that I was having with them. So in terms of how to address, when you look at what has transpired between Kevin and Randall in This Is Us over these years, what happened in the season finale was because those things were not addressed. Now, granted, it's drama, TV, etc. So, things have to build in an arc of writing and blah, 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 etc. But in reality, those things happen every single day in all kinds of circumstances. And so we as moms really just need to, again, pause to consider what's going on in us as we see these things happening with our children, and then taking steps as best we can. None of us is perfect. I did not do this perfectly, but be in there swinging, not in that kind of metaphor, etc. So that's what I think about what happened with Kevin and Randall, and would really encourage us to really just pause to consider again what's going on inside of us, so that we can then have a good view of what's going on with our kids, and then make the appropriate interventions as we are able and or see fit. And it's funny, the way I actually looked at the screen, I was like, just punch him already, kind of thing. But I don't advocate violence. It's just a difference between how guys and girls handle things. But I was caught up in the drama of the drama show. But it's a very well-written show. If you haven't checked it out, definitely check it out. I get no royalties over this. It's just a really good family show, and I'm loving what the potential arc is in terms of the previews for next season. Again, any thoughts about it that you'd like to share, definitely leave them in the feed. I will make sure to respond to them. Or if there's something that you prefer to just DM me about, do so, okay? And I will respond. This is Dr. Michelle Deering signing off, and I'll see you then. Take care. Bye.